Welcome to Everything But the Kitchen Dink, the podcast where we discuss all things pickleball with your hosts, Rob and Andy.
Welcome back, everybody, to Everything But the Kitchen Dink, episode 101 now. A lot of pressure on today's guest. You know, it's like we've been building to the 100 for so long. We finally got there, and it feels like, you know, when you look forward to your holiday and then you get back and it's like you got to start all over again.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I don't want it to be down. We've got an amazing guest today. We have got Leon Stango from. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself, because this is going to be a great, really interesting episode.
Well, despite my British and non-Spanish accent, I actually live in Venezuela now for the last 10 years. So I've got that Bedfordian twang because we originate from, North London and Bedford. But I'm actually visiting from Caracas right now. That's the capital city of Venezuela. And I've been there for the last 10 years. So just back to see the family and to do a few pickleball initiatives. But there we are, South America.
Just tell us a bit about your background and how you ended up in Venezuela. Were you born in the UK?
Yeah. British, come on, my dad's Italian, mum's English. And basically I went over there. Originally a friend of mine asked me to come out because he was dating a Venezuelan girl, etc. And he said to come out as a third wheel. So I did. And that was interesting, and didn't work out with the lass. And so I ended up staying, and he ended up going back. And I fell in love with Venezuela. And I spent a month there, 3 months, then came back, sold everything I had. I moved out there, and I've been there 10 years ever since. I met my wife out there. She's from Washington, D.C., working in an international school. And then I met her there. It was great because it was the only advantage was I was the only one. So she had to marry me. So that was good in my head. So, yeah.
We lost you there. Just say that again. You were the only what?
Oh, okay. So I met my wife out there. She was in the international school in Venezuela, and she's from Washington, D.C., America. And obviously, I was the only one I think who could speak English, so she had to marry me. So that was good.
Okay. You got lucky then. So,
yeah,
I mean, this must have been quite a journey then. So, I mean, basically, if we start from where you are now, you are the head of the Pickleball Federation of the Americas, which covers America, which is a phenomenal title. But take us back to the beginning. You must have had a sporting background, and
yeah. Well, really, to be honest, especially with pickleball, the connection was through my wife, because she's obviously American sport, and my aunt, her auntie, it's the old classic story, 75, 2 knee braces and 2 elbow joints. Said she said come and play pickleball, and I was like, what's that? Then I start playing, and she destroys me, and I'm like, this is worth having a go. And then we end up going back to Venezuela, obviously, because we're only visiting for 2 weeks. So I start investigating the federations, if there are any associations there, and there's nothing. And so I literally bought 4 rackets, some balls and a net, and started going for it. And it literally was as crude as that to start.
So how did you, is it fair to say you're the first to play pickleball in Venezuela then?
Yeah. So I was the founder of the sport. So, yeah.
Where did you play? Are you playing on badminton courts, or were you playing on badminton
courts? Well, there's a volleyball courts, actually. We started playing on some volleyball courts. And then, because my wife works in the international school, they had a badminton court there, and I started just demonstrating the sport, you know, learning the rules, etc. And we started off there. Then we went to some courts, as you said, like in a volleyball court, set up there, inviting neighbours, people to come round, and the rest is history. And now in Venezuela. We have over 200 courts, maybe 3,000 players.
Wow.
We have the association. We're in 18 of the 21 states of Venezuela, and it was the fastest growing sport last year in Venezuela.
Amazing.
So what's it like in Venezuela? I take it the weather's nice most of the time. So the courts, the indoor courts, how does it work over there?
Yeah, so Miami weather, it's exactly like Miami, really. I mean, it's the perfect weather. It's 70s, 80s every day, hardly a breeze, and it's really dominated outside. We do have a couple of inside courts, which is great, but outside is so popular because, you know, it's just the perfect weather temperature. And Venezuela was very much into beach tennis, paddle before.
Right.
And I thought the reverse, especially with paddle, because many were viewing it as almost an enemy, and I viewed it as a friend. So I started knocking on all the doors of the paddle complexes and said, "Hey guys," I said, "have you heard of pickleball? And if so, do you want to build a court? Because this is the next movement. You're either going to run with it or not, and be missing out." Through that, we mostly started in the paddle courts because they always had an odd space where they couldn't cram in another paddle, and so started with pickleball. Okay, so we piggybacked on the structure of paddle.
Right.
Okay, because we find, I mean, I don't see it as a competition here, but people who don't play pickleball sort of joke with us saying, "Oh, this one's playing paddle, and we got into the wrong sport, and there's paddle centers popping up here," because we've got our own issues, as you know, with the weather, so everything has to be inside for us. So we feel like it's not a competition against paddle, but we are losing out in some extent to paddle because you have to have a paddle facility to play paddle, but you don't for pickleball. So they're springing up everywhere here, and people we know in the 40s and 50s have started playing paddle instead. It's, you know, we feel like
there's a younger demographic playing paddle. It's quite trendy to be playing paddle as well over here. I don't know what it's like in Venezuela, but
you're right. It's definitely a demographic. It's a younger demographic. But then I also, when I speak on it, and you have to go on a business level when you're first trying to get a sport into people's courts, is that you can play singles. You can play all ages with pickleball as well, you know, so you're going across the board, whereas paddle does concentrate more on the youth and you know, 40s to 50s really. After that, I'd say it's a bit of a struggle, and professionally, that is. So I think extending your professionalism, pickleball's still a winner. It's
very interesting to know that they have been, you know, paddle companies have been receptive to pickleball. It's really interesting.
Yeah, very.
Could be,
yeah. I mean, obviously you went to these paddle clubs and then you asked about putting pickleball courts in. But initially when you started, as you said earlier, you had like a couple of paddles, a net and a ball. What sort of obstacles did you face trying to get pickleball out there in Venezuela?
Well, yeah, the obstacles to start with was definitely the product, because getting it shipped over, etc. So I'm not giving out a specific shout to a brand, but they did help us very much with Selkirk. I called Selkirk and they donated a couple of $1,000s worth of equipment for me to start. And that really propelled me. And then some investors started building some private courts, and I jumped on with them, and then I started demonstrating, you know, how to play the sport. But what really moved it was we almost made it a franchise, and there's 21 states in Venezuela, and I divided it into parts and made an ambassador scheme. So rather than, because power is always a big thing in this new sport as well, and people are fighting. What we decided to do was give power away and say, right, you're the ambassador of Valencia, Maracay. These are all different states. And so with that, we were able to almost franchise the control, because I can't go around the whole of Venezuela. It's a big place. So we then named 17 different men and women, and then I showed them what to do, and then they started, basically a pyramid scheme.
Did they all reported to you?
Yeah, and they still do. And
Right.
what's beautiful is that we're all on the same page, which I think, although yes, I'm the president, it's fantastic. I think I'm not too hung up about power, but I'm more about being inclusive, and I think that definitely has helped grow the sport, because everyone feels a bit empowered for their own area to look after it. If you monopolize it, I think you have problems. So
Yeah. So what did you do beforehand? Because obviously you've done fantastic work there, but what was your background in business? Because you seem to have your head well
I
screwed up.
completely. This is a random one. When I moved over to Venezuela, I was a bit of a chef back in the day, and what I did was, it was just pure greed. I love curry. I mean, Manchester. I was in Manchester, the curry
Yeah.
houses, and I cooked curry, and there was no Indian restaurants in Venezuela, not one. And so I bought a food truck, and then we set this food truck up, and we started selling Indian food, and it was a blast. Because there's a British guy in Venezuela, which was, at the time, Venezuela had a lot of problems. It was very dangerous, in fact. But then to be greeted by a Brit who speaks in a Spanish, broken, and then he's offering you a chicken tikka masala.
Brilliant.
But it worked. But then what happened was, pickleball came into my life, and then I couldn't do both. And what we did was, we used it as a food truck for tournaments, and for a while. But that was, it was completely unrelated.
So what the demographic there now, is it still sort of a higher age, or are you encouraging, or how are you getting youngsters to come and play pickleball in Venezuela?
It's going absolutely nuts. So now, what I did do, I started up, it was a shop called Pickleball Zone Venezuela, and that's where we have like a testing wall. We have all the rackets, all the brands, balls, rackets. We run the PPR courses for certification for coaches, referees, and last year I went around all of Venezuela. We trained 64 coaches. So I'm the PPR developer for part of South America, but coaching's everything. So we've started from the ground, really, creating coaches, and then obviously, for the love of the sport, for business wise, they're going to go out and try and make players, encourage people to play, because they paid for a course, and now they want to get stuck in. And that's really propelled the sport, because we've got 64 coaches basically marketing the sport, and trying to get in new players, ex-tennis players, to come and play.
So you get them coached up to become coaches before they're even at the higher level of playing.
Yeah, exactly. They're all playing. I mean, we have a very high concentration of 3.5 to 4.0 players on the Duper scale. We obviously have very good players above, like 5.0s as well, but that's where we lie. The very first international tournament I took was to the English Nationals.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we came, not the last one, the one before, with Karen Mitchell.
Yeah.
And we come to Telford, I think it was, wasn't it? Telford.
Yeah. That was the Open.
And we were there.
The Open was at Telford. Yeah.
Yes. And so they had a country that time, so we got involved there, and we played. It was amazing. And then
over this year for the Open, were you coming back?
No, and I tell you why. But we've got the World Cup in. We came back from the World Cup in Peru. That was a big event for South America and various parts of the world. But we have an international tournament for Venezuela in Miami in June.
Right. Okay.
What we've done is we've set up an international committee for players, because of the issues that Venezuela had. There was a big immigration of Venezuelans to Miami. So what we've got thousands of players. So we've got a ranking game tournament in June in Miami. it's either I think in the yards or the fort, because we have a World Cup in Miami again in November, and then we have December. It's a very busy year. The Copa Latam, which is with the PFA. It's the qualifications for the regional world in 2026.
Amazing.
Okay, just on the topic of the World Cup, then I remember when it happened. What was it? Maybe 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
First of all, how did Venezuela do? Because it's a great yardstick to see how to, where you've got to go, and how come
you got it?
England isn't.
So we ended up 6th out of 35 countries. So we did great, and we had the winners were, I think it was Costa Rica, and they became first, Peru second, and our women actually beat the champions, and it was just we lost in the men's category, but yeah, we ended up 6th in the world through 35 of the countries. So we were so happy with the achievement that Venezuela had for a relatively new country in pickleball.
Yeah. And how come England are not in that? Because
that's a very good question. I don't know whether or not it crossed over. Did you have an Opens last year or Nationals? I don't know. I was surprised.
England won the European Championships.
Yes. Yeah, they had the European. Maybe it was just too close to tournaments. I don't know, but I believe they're invited every time. So I know they'll be invited for the World Cup this year. So yeah,
well, if they don't let's
see what happens.
Yeah, we'll play.
We'll play for
but
it.
Not singles.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. No, we'll put you in the doubles mixed. I don't know who's going to be the woman. We'll work that one out.
we might finish 36. It must be great though having the USA involved. What kind of team did they send over?
Yeah, they did. They sent a very good team, because it was all the USA are coming, they're going to win everything and wipe the floor, and they didn't, which was great, because I think we have to move away that it's just a USA sport, because if we want it to get to the Olympics, for example, we don't want everyone thinking, well, we have the Olympics, the USA are just going to mop up and it's not worth putting in the Olympics yet. It's not the case. And if you think about it, when we have this World Cup, it will highlight that we have many foreign countries, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Venezuela, in Miami at a high level pickleball. It's just they're not living in their countries. So
right,
I reckon that's going to be a very good tournament, because you'll be getting the USA players coming, but they do actually cap it at 5.5 on Duper, just to be
so we
fair
can't
for them.
Answer them.
I know you've just tipped over, haven't you?
Yeah, 5.4. So just
yeah, you're gonna have to lose. You have to sandbag, I'm afraid.
That doesn't go on, does it?
No, but I'm not sure. So, I think it's going to be a very good one for the internationals to show that their level as countries rather than America. And I think that leads on nicely to PFA, the Pickleball Federation of Americas.
Yeah.
I think it was fantastic to be nominated for vice president and to achieve it. And my work predominantly is going to be professionalizing the sport in Latin America. So rather than it's just a park game, you bring a granny, and it's to really show that pickleball's got what it takes to be in the Olympics, into the Copa Bolivarianos, all the world Southern American games that they have outside America, we can get them in there, So that's one of the principal jobs we're working on.
You mentioned earlier about originally Venezuela wasn't that safe in certain areas. Now, have you found that it's brought people together, pickleball, from all different areas across Venezuela?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, actually. Yeah,
thank you.
It's got a lot safer. It's not perfect, but pickleball, and I think someone needs to do a study on it, because it unifies and brings everybody together in a funny way. Like we have it's called Parque del Este, and it's a park where you don't pay. And I started bringing a net there, and a few others started, and now we have a big community.
Sorry, who's a net?
From what?
Who's a net?
Oh, oh, it's a classic. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Okay.
And we have 4 nets now, so there's enough in net to go round. And all the walks of life are there. You've got the rich and the famous, so I'm there, and then you have people that are in the barrios, people who
what are the barrios?
From poor, medium class upwards. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We lend out the rackets.
The people that are listening and don't know what the barrios are, what are the barrios?
Oh, okay. So that's like a farella. So a barrio is where they're little brick houses, and there's thousands of them all bundled together just on the outskirts. It's probably like our council estates, but it's fantastic because this game has no color, it has no status. And the great thing is you can have a VIP court in a stadium, or you can shove it in a park and you're still playing. It's great.
Yeah.
So for a go
on. Can you bring like gangs together and make peace with pickleball?
Oh yeah, quite possibly. I mean, we do. We've had people down that you'd be scared seeing them a dark alley, but on the pickleball court they're as nice as Larry, you know. So it is a thing. Like no.
Tell me a bit about your sporting. Do you have any sports background? Do you have a tennis background?
No, I used to play squash, badminton, but squash was only in a club level. I'm a footballer by heart. I love my football. Played through and through.
Play pickleball regularly.
Yeah. So I played in the World Cup last year. I got fourth. We got to the semi-finals in the 4.0, and unfortunately we lost. I won't give a shout out to my partner. We're still sore on that one. But I play, and I love it. But obviously with this job, it's so involved. I literally just fly all over Venezuela, opening courts, giving little talks, training kids, whatever. And so the court time's not what it used to be, but when I can, I'll play.
So it's been a rapid rise. I can't remember how many years you said you've been doing this, but what are you expecting year on year? And do you think
so I reckon we're at 3,000 now, and I think you can safely double it for next year. I mean, I'm being conservative. It's not like Dragon's Den when we say 1 million, but it's growing very fast, and we're in the schools now and the universities, and that I believe the kids are the one. So we're now focusing. We've just set up the national juniors pickleball for Venezuela, and now we're looking for the talent for the juniors, and we're going to select 6 this year, and then we're going to take them to Colombia and play them in the Colombia kids against the Venezuela kids, and just to get them a bit of international experience.
Just want to ask you about paddles, because in the UK now it's a massive thing for paddle companies here, and there are so many to choose from. Also, they come with a hefty price tag, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Is that a problem in Venezuela, or do you still see people buying the top end paddles?
Yeah, so basically we've got a big shop called Pickleball Zone, and we sell all the brands, and we sell thousands of rackets a year, and it surprised me, but Venezuela is a very rich country. It's got all the most oil in the world, you know. So you have the elitists of the elitists, and then you have people who live in barrios, but somehow they do it. They'll pull out $70-80 and buy a racket, but then we sell a heck of a lot. The Lux, the Invictus, $250 rackets, no problem. Right. So Selkirk's the most popular right now, I'd say. Then Diadem's the official ball for Venezuela for 2025. So they've supported us a lot. Diadem have. Then we have Engage, Vulcan. Vulcan was one of the first as well.
Right,
so there are no issues there. Everybody's loving paddles, and I'm surprised, but they're buying them.
What's your go-to paddle? What do you
My
use?
go-to paddle right now is I'm actually using the Diadem right now, and then I also use Selkirk as well, the Lux.
You don't want to upset anybody. So a bit topical, but they're all coming in from USA. Are you going to face any tariffs, and is that going to cause any problems? Are there any going to be homegrown paddles coming?
Yeah, now that is a good question. We've had a homegrown net being made. I'll send you some photos and a video. Brilliant, because nets incur a lot of shipping. You see, rackets aren't too bad because you can fit 50 in a box and away you go. But we've had someone having a go at creating pickle balls themselves. He's got a plastic molding machine, and he's working on the molds. And if he gets out, that'll be a winner. But they'll just be used for coaching. We've had people obviously making their wooden paddles, but for proper ones, no. So, and we kind of steer clear of the Chinese. You know, I mean, they probably all come from there, don't they? Anyway, I don't know, but yeah. So, but yeah.
Okay, so what? I mean, we've talked about the community impact, but obviously, you're creating sort of it's not just the pyramid scheme of the people looking after the regions, but also the coaches who will create more coaches. And are you getting sort of, now that you're covering, well, tell us, I was going to get to the rest of your neighboring countries, but tell us about how you've got this role now as sort of the Don of South America. How's that going to work? And is that going to bring all these smaller countries together?
Yeah, so basically what it is, and we're looking to so I'm traveling around. I'll go to Colombia, then Dominican Republic, and then I meet the presidents of those countries, and I'm like, right, instead of these massive big World Cups, which everybody wants to get on, it costs thousands and thousands of dollars, let's do it friendly. So last year we had Colombia come over, and it was Colombia versus Venezuela. And what we did was we did an open tournament before for about 100 people, and we blended in the Venezuelans and the Colombians together. So they got to play against everyone. But then we did like an MLP the next day of just Colombia team and the Venezuela team, and it was amazing.
Right. And are you getting
sometimes
you're getting people watching? Are you getting people watching?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had the I'm forgetting my English, but not replacing it with Spanish. We had all the I'm turning it to Tarzan. We had we call them the gradas. So everyone comes and sits and watches. Right. It's becoming a real fever, you know. And what I personally think is, even for England, I know you had the European Cup. I saw that was great. It's England versus France. England, France, and Ireland. You know, just a small 3 teams together. I think rather than the big things that take a lot of planning, we can keep it fluid, keep it exciting with just these mini matches. You know,
I think the problem in this country is it's not, people are still working as well, so it's not like they can just go and play these mini tournaments. They're not professionals in this country. Do you see yourself having a professional league at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're working on right now. So for the tournament in Miami, we've actually got a level only for 4.8 and above.
Right.
Up to 5.5. So we're looking to, you know, separate the players for like the Venezuela team selection. Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any advice? Go on, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, I think England, they've got their professionals as well, right? So
yes, yeah, they've got that.
I mean, it's professional, but they're not professionals as in there's no circuit where they're earning money and
Oh, I get it. Right. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, if you could offer some advice to people and maybe just help them with if they wanted to do what you're doing, basically in their own countries or their own cities, and really promote pickleball and grow pickleball. Is there some advice you could give them on how to do that, possibly?
Yeah. I think first of all, don't be greedy. And don't go in there and rule the show. I think you need you can't be a one-man band. I think although I'm obviously here, you always have to have a head of a structure. I think you have to work together as a team, and so you need people unified together, especially in a country. And I appreciate the people that give it the violin and that we love pickleball and we do it for free. You do have to have a business head on you, or else if you don't have funds, you're not going to grow. So sponsors are a massive thing for us. Sponsorship, you're dead in the water if you don't have sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
the Pickleball Federation of America? So you're the co-boss of that now. So how does that work with USAP and rules and things like that? Is USAP still something totally different? Because the whole world seems to be ruled by their rules. So how does that work?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, because obviously USA sort of have the monopoly. They've started. So we do follow along. So you've got the Global Pickleball Federation and the PFA. And so we work together, but we come under the USA Pickleball Federation guidelines. Okay. So we basically had the rule book translated into Spanish, and we work alongside them. And also like PPR, that's American, the Professional Pickleball Registry for coaching. And then we're starting now with referees, and we're working along the structure of it has to be, the thing is, it's got to be unified at the end of the day. For it to go to the Olympics or anything, we can all splinter off in our little groups, but someone's got to take charge at some point.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the Olympics earlier, and it's always been, I think I've been one of the few people who has been hoping it doesn't go in the Olympics, for the reason that, I know the Pickleball World Cup, America didn't win it, but if we went to the Olympics, you'd have Ben Johns and Anna Lee there, and it would I don't think it would be good for the sport at this stage.
Yeah,
because America it would be like the dream team. So
yeah,
when do you see us getting to the point where we can have, because I assume that the American pros would enter? Yeah.
I mean, so we're working on it. I mean, realistically, you're not going to see it till 2036, I don't believe. I think people get all excited, 2028, it's not going to happen. You've got to have like all the doping issues. There's got to be one federation that represents it. There's a lot of politics thrown in there as well. So you're way off, but I think that's why we need to professionalize what we're doing now. And obviously don't forget to have fun, but I think each country does have to have a structure, and I think this is why you need these like internationals to play against each other. Whether I think following the football, it could be a championship league almost. There's a lot to do still, and I think we've got to get away from. Don't forget the park game and you're playing with your grandma, lovely. But if you want it to really professionalize, you need bums on seats to spectators. And for that, you have to have the World Games. You have to have the excitement of a World Cup or Venezuela versus England, etc. It all has to be there.
Yeah, well, I'll be 64 then. So,
I know, yeah. I was thinking that. I feel sorry for those who are in their 30s. They're in their primes now. They're number ones. I'm like, it's not for another 8 years yet. So
yeah,
very true.
So what do you see for Pickleball Venezuela? I mean, it's such an inspiring story, because we talk about our struggles in England, and yet what you've done is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you see for your sort of the next 5 to 10 years in Venezuela?
Yeah, I see it just increasing. I see it opening in all the parks, a lot more free courts, because it's interesting where we are. You have to pay to play. There's only 4 courts that I know that are free in Venezuela right now. So I see that the government getting involved and funding initiatives, and this is why we're working privately to say, hey, look, we've got 200, 300 courts here, millions of dollars. We've created work, we've created referees, coaches, schools, universities. Now we need assistance to make some free courts so people can play, and that will really impulse it as well. That's something I think will happen.
So you're hopeful that will happen?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's the fastest growing sport last year. You can't deny it.
Right.
Everybody now is talking about pickleball. It's great. This is the logo is everywhere, all over Venezuela. So, yeah,
Brilliant,
amazing. What do you think of Duper?
Duper. I hung back because there's always UTR, Duper, and I hung back just to see. And I believe they've won the race in a rating system for pickleball. It's not perfect, and I'm a good friend of Tito, the owner, and I think when it comes into a new country, it has to sort of level out, like self-level, because you've not got 5.0 players there. So what happens is everyone says, oh, I'm a 5.0, and we're like, we'll go and play in America and you're going to get your kicked.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think it's the one, and I think it's my choice that we've put in Venezuela now, and every court we say Duper, that's the one we've chosen.
right.
So we back Duper.
Do you and for any smaller competitions? I mean, we have a problem in the UK with calling balls in and balls out, and it becomes a whole issue. Do you have any problems with that over there?
Well, you have a problem.
Oh yeah, you've always got those that suddenly their eyesight doesn't work when it's very close to the line.
Yeah,
You've got all that. I think that. Do you know what? I think that's all part of it. You know, because in Margarita Island, we play, and they've got a group chat, and I'm not joking, that there's 200 text messages after a friendly of like 12 people, because so many things happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think people live for those moments of it was in, it was out, it touched your racket, or
yeah.
People live for that gossip now, and it's funny to see.
Well, whatever anybody says, Robert saw it as out. Okay.
Nice. Are you sponsored by Specsavers? Are you?
Yeah, 2 pairs here.
Oh, here we go. Nice.
Before we go, you're in England. Have you done any pickleball business here? Can you tell us what's been going on?
Not yet. I will be. I've basically been just to see my family. I'll be playing in Madrid and Portugal, and then we're basically, because I've not been back for 2 years, we're going to find out where the pickleball is. I don't even know if we've got it in Bedford. I know we have it in Milton Keynes. I've already been invited to play there. I was in Derbyshire. I couldn't make it, but they play up in Matlock and Chesterfield round that way as well. That's up near where you are, actually. So
where are you now? Where are you based now?
Right now I'm in Bedford, and then we fly to Madrid on Friday. We spend 4 days there meeting some of the Spanish Federation, and then we fly to Portugal afterwards.
Because I think you were in Liverpool at some point when we spoke last week.
I'll say that again.
I think when Robert spoke to you last week, you mentioned Liverpool, and I thought it was interesting.
Oh yeah, I was in Liverpool for 3 days.
But I don't think Liverpool actually has a club.
Oh no! I went up there to say you need to build some courts.
So Robert doesn't represent the opinions of everything but the kitchen dink.
Nice.
Okay. Right.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to chat with you. And
lovely to meet you, boys. It's been a dream of mine to be on this podcast, because I saw you guys, everything by the kitchen and the sink. Yeah, and I saw it from Venezuela, and I'm like, no, I think the British connection, I wanted to come on. So I can die in peace now. So thank you.
Well, please don't do that, because we'd love to have you on again.
We'll let you know when it's going out, and then we'll send it over.
Thank you.
And how far?
All right, lads.
How far are you from Miami?
From Miami, By plane is 2 hours.
So do you go over there? Because we're going to be there in the summer.
Oh yeah. I'm going to be there twice. I'm going to be there in June. Then I'm going to be there a lot of November as well. I don't.
Okay,
what month are you there?
We'll go in August when no one goes there.
Oh, well, I won't see you then.
It's been so awesome speaking to you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you, boys.
Keep in
Nice.
touch.
And great.
I will do. Absolutely. All right, guys.
You're an inspiration.
See you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. No, I appreciate you. Right, take care, boys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.